Welcome. We are glimpsing Ganit Kshetra, mathematical domain, Vedic mathematical domain. Vedic mathematical domain, as Ganita sutras, is of the source formulation Ekadhikain Purve, and we have seen that the first letter is of value 6, here the first letter is of value 5, it takes us to 6 space and it takes us to 5 space. This initiation for reach at the mathematical domain brings us face to face with the creation of 6 space body as well as the creation of a 5 space body, and in fact the whole range of bodies. And this takes us to the creator's space. Therefore, sadhakas fulfilled with intensity efforts to glimpse, imbibe and to be parallel with the format, features and values of Ganit Kshetra, mathematical domain of Ganita sutras. That means Vedic mathematical domain is the domain which is in respect of the creations within creator's space, and creator space is a 4 space. So the first feature for initiation of glimpsing of Vedic mathematical domain comes to be that it should be the glimpsing of the creator's space itself. By creator's space we mean a 4 space. By creator's space we mean the space presided by Lord Brahma, creator the supreme. The creator the supreme is a 4-head Lord with a pair of eyes in each head. So creator is a 4-head Lord and each head is equipped with a pair of eyes. So heads are 4 and in each head there are 2 eyes. And then we see the creator sits on a lotus seat of 8 petals. So there are 8 petals, and within the cavity of heart of Lord Brahma is the seat of the transcendental Lord Shiva. So it is of the features of hypercube 4. Here the heads are 4 and here our dimensions are 4. Here 2 spaces play. There are pair of eyes. Here their plane is playing the role of a dimension. Here the seat is of 8 petals and here the boundary is of 8 solid components. Here within the cavity of heart of the transcendental Lord is the seat of a transcendental Lord, transcendental seat in the heart, and here 5 space is in the role of an origin. Therefore, sadhakas fulfilled with intensity efforts to glimpse, imbibe the format features of Ganita Kshetra, mathematical domain of Ganita sutras shall glimpse and imbibe the format, features and values of the idol of Lord Brahma. Format, features and values of Lord Brahma are parallel with the format features of hypercube 4. These format features of hypercube 4 prominently are: number 1, a 2 space is playing the role of a dimension. Second, 3 space is playing the role of a boundary. Third, that it has 4 space as a domain, and then 5 spaces playing the role of a origin. These four features are the prominent features, and these are called the manifestation layer or folds. So hypercube 4 is of 4 folds. First fold is a dimension, second is boundary, third is domain, and fourth is the origin. The distinctive features are that here 2 spaces playing the role of a dimension, 3 spaces the role of a boundary, 4 space in the role of a domain, and 5 space in the role of an origin. So the first prominent comprehension is that Vedic mathematics is a domain created along the format of a creator's space, 4 space, presided by Lord Brahma, creator the supreme, a 4-headed Lord having pair of eyes in each head, sits gracefully along a lotus seat of 8 petals, meditates within the cavity of one's own heart at the seat of a transcendental Lord. So these features are the prominent features in terms of which we shall be having a chase, we will be having insight, we will be having enlightenment about the Vedic mathematical domain of the creators of space. Here, the prominent thing is that dimensional frame is of quadruple spatial dimensions. There are 4 heads, each head is equipped with a pair of eyes. Now, this situation would mean that we have to work in terms of quadruple spatial dimensions whose expression or printout in plane is swastik, a square of a setup of quadruple quarter squares. So each square is a plane, each quarter is a plane. So the printout here is, it is designated as a swastik. Therefore the mathematics of creators of space becomes the mathematics of swastik. We have to learn how to apply it. We have to learn how to operate it. We have to learn how to have a transcendence here from. And before that, let us comprehend that the sequential, linear sequential takes us sequential progression like Eka Adi K, one more than before. This Eka Adi K is the feature which is like a linear sequential progression. And then we see that within a plane we can have line as well as the plane, with the single axis as well as the pair of axes both will be having their marking manifested position within a surface itself. So this dimension, which is a plane or which is a spatial dimension, it is having a dual features. It is progressing like a line and it is progressing like an area. So linear units and spatial units both are available here. So we can use 2 as 1 and also we can use 1 as 2. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. So in fact it is going to be a double sequence operating. So a first sequence takes from first element this to this element, then in between also there are infinite steps. It is like reaching from point to another point, but in between the gap which will be accommodating as many as infinite points. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well to have an appreciation of the operative system of the creators of space, 4 space of a spatial order. the spatial order would mean the pair of axes are available, and the availability of the pair axis also gives us sequentially that we can have a single axis and then we can have pair of axes. It is this sequential progression within the spatial dimension of linear progression transiting and transforming into the spatial transition. It is just like that to reach at 2, we can have first reach at 1 and then the second reach step will be 1 plus 2. So when we are having only 1, when we are in a linear progression, then 1 is the single step itself. But however, when we are in a spatial dimension, then we are having value 2, and this value 2 is attainable in 2 steps in the linear progression comparative format. It is here where we say that in 4 space, in terms of spatial dimension, half is a working rule. Half a working rule would mean that 4 is taking us additively and multiplicatively, both reaching at the same value, and simultaneously it is also -2 multiplied by -2 also taking us to 4. So it is not only the addition and multiplication which superimpose indistinguishably, but the orientation as well gets superimposed. So the superimposition of an orientation, superimposition of addition and multiplication operations take us to that this quadruple dimensional frame of quadruple spatial dimensions as addition will take us to value 8. However, as multiplication it will take us to value 16. So as addition we are reaching at value 8, and as multiplication we are reaching at value 6. One may have a pause here and take note that 8 is the TC value of formulation 8, whose simple rendering is 1, and Dway is the formulation of TC value 16, whose simple rendering is 2. Therefore, while we will be decoding the formulations, word formulations of Vedic mathematics as a speaking language, Vedas have reached us as a speaking language. Vedas as speaking language would mean we are having word formulations. Those word formulations are to be decoded. For that decoding, it is the transcendental Divya Ank Vyavastha, transcendental code value. And this transcendental code value is provided by the transcendental origin. So how from the creators, the space, 4 space, the origin provides a transcendence, and where thereby there happens a transcendental code values. So to have an appreciation of the Ganit Khet, to have complete imbibing of the format features of the Vedic mathematical domain, we may initiate ourselves with creators of space. This would mean that we have to initiate ourselves in terms of the format features and values of idol of Lord Brahma, creator the supreme, the presiding deity of 4 space. And the format features and values of 4 space are parallel with the format features and values of hypercube 4, the representative regular body of a 4 space manifesting within 4 space itself. It is this manifestation within 4 space will put a space within a dimensional frame of quadruple spatial dimensions. These quadruple spatial dimensions, because of this inherent feature of line and square within a square, therefore it will be taking us to additive value as 8 and multiplicative value 16. This additive value 8 is the TC value of formulation 8, and this additive value, multiplicative value 16 is the TC value of formulation 2. Therefore, while we will be decoding the word formulations of speaking language mathematics as Vedas. So Vedas as a speaking language take us to the word formulations which deserve to be decoded for having a reach at the mathematical discipline itself. Within Vedas, the whole range of disciplines are unified. If in this unified field of knowledge we have to have a glimpsing of the format of the discipline of mathematics only, then we have to have a step of decoding the formulations, like ek will take to value 8, like dvay will take to value 16, 8 will take us to the linear organization 2, 2, 2, and this will take us to multiplicative organization like this. It is here where we have to appreciate that when we are reaching at 1 to 2, that means what we are doing. So 1 to 2 we have to reach. In between there is going to be half, 1 and half. It is this value, it is this middle placement value which is to be transcended. It is this transcendence from 1 to 2 to have a bridging of the gap between 1 and 2 which is to be appreciated, which is to be availed, which is to be worked out, and it will be taking us to the applied, pure and applied values of Vedic mathematics. Now let us have a halt here. So going from 1 to 2 would mean what? Sorry. That means we are here having 1 multiplied by 2. But going from 2 to 1 would mean we are having 2 having multiplier 1 and 2. So if we are starting with 1, so then we will be taking 1 as a 2, means we are having a spatial dimension. It is of value 2, and then we have to work with it. It's half. Now it will look like beautiful that when we are at a square and we want to work with half, then it will take us to a triangle. It is this feature which is to be appreciated, which is to be comprehended well. The same is to be imbibed fully to have a comprehension of the working steps of mathematics of a four space, a creator's space. Mathematics of a four space, a creator's space, is having half as a unit. This half as a unit is a very difficult, comprehensive operator which deserves to be deciphered out step by step. And it is this deciphering of this step which is to be learned. So teaching and learning of Vedic mathematics of creator space amounts to teaching and learning of working with a half. It is this unit which is a very simple, noble operator, but at this side it is the most complex operator. So for reaching from real analysis to complex analysis is going to be the format beneath. It is this format beneath which is going to be the focus point. Let us sit comfortably. Let us permit the transcending mind to comprehend a transition from the linear axis, three-dimensional frame of triple linear axis, to a spatial order space, a creator's space, a four space within a four spatial dimensions. This setup of four spatial dimensions as such, when will take us to that hypercube of 4 is of 9 versions. These 9 versions of hypercube 4 are the representative bodies of 9 geometries of a 4 space. 3 space is having only 7 geometries range, and the 7 versions of hypercube 3 are the representative bodies of 7 geometries of 3 space. But here in 4 space, we will be having 9 versions, and these 9 versions are the representative bodies of 9 geometries. But let us have a focus here, a stage where we are having half of the boundary intact. It is this half boundary intact and half boundary standing stripped off is a flip point. While we will be working with a half unit, we will be confronted with a situation of the 5th middle geometry of the 4 space. This middle geometry is having half geometry intact and half geometry is stripped off. So if this is having a transposition, then the first half, which was filled half and blank, will convert into a blank half and the filled half. It is here where the many attempts during the last century, since Hilbert's axioms, to have a catch of it in terms of the existing axioms, so failure was the natural result. So up till this, despite more than 1 century and 2 decades efforts, modern mind is not convincingly accepting 4 space as a reality. By saying 4 space as a reality means having all the quadruple geometric dimensions. So 4 dimensions, all the 4 geometric dimensions, like 3 dimensions, all the 3 geometric 3 space are yet being not coming within the comprehension catch or within the acceptance of the modern mathematics. Therefore, the students of Vedic mathematics, science and technology, sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with this phenomenon of the reality of a 4 space. They have to put their mind and conscience in a state where the conditioning because of the linear order of 3 space is to be melted. It is this mental state created because of the linear axis which is coming in the way of having a smooth transition from 3 space reality to a 4 space reality. Vedic systems in fact begin with 4 space. So Vedic mathematics is the mathematics of the creators of space. Creators of space is a 4 space. 4 space is a space of a spatial dimensional order. Here in 4 space, it is 2 space, it is surface, it is square, which is playing the role of a dimension. In a 3 space, it is a line, it is 1 space, which is playing the role of a axis. So we are working with linear axis, triple linear axis to work out this physical universe. However, the Vedic comprehension, Vedic glimpsing, Vedic reach, Vedic attainment is of approach to our universe, to our space in terms of quadruple spatial dimensions. Beginning with this setup of a dimensional frame of quadruple spatial dimensions reaches at the hypercube 4 of 9 versions, and within spatial dimensions there happens to be reach of a Kram Samapti, and Kram is of TC value 13 while Samapti is of TC value 26, and 13 would mean the dynamic state cube, the 12-edged cube, when is in a dynamic state, it requires a 13 edge. And this acquisition is because of the availability of the fourth dimension. And we know all the four dimensions are spatial, therefore the 13th edge is availing a format of a spatial dimension. So 13 plus 13 is 16, so 26. So it is a Kram Samapti. It is this Yoga Darshan conclusion that if we want to reach at a Kaivalya Pad, the soul situation of a continuity of existence within a human frame to the life even without frames. So it is that Kaivalya, it is that soul state whose attainment is, if we are through the Kram Samapti, we are following this sequence, then and only then we will be transcending the limitations because of linear axis frame. We have to transcend from linear axis frame to a spatial axis frame. It is this transcendence which is to be attained. It is this transcendence which is to be absorbed. It is this transcendence which is capable of melting our mental state. It is only with the melting of the mental state, because of the linear progression, that there will be a reach, there will be a jump, there will be a continuity from three-space reality to a four-space reality. Therefore, sadhakas shall sit comfortably, permit the transcending mind to have a melting of the mental state caused because of the linear progression. So it is with this that we will be transcending from the first Ganita Sutra to the second Ganita Sutra. The second Ganita Sutra, Nikhlim Navasta Charmam Dashata, is a composition of three words. The first Sutra, Ekadhiken Purve, is a composition of two words. So we have to reach from Sutra 1 to Sutra 2. With it means we have to reach from the setup of a pair of words to the triple words, and see the triple word would mean that between the pair of words there will be a word in between. So there is a word at the middle. It is Navasta Charmam Dashata. See that this word here, Nikhlim, is a setup of only 7 letters, and Dashata as well is a setup of 7 letters. But in between Navasta Charamam, here there are 14 letters. That means we have to approach the middle from both ends, and this reach is to get superimposed. It is this superimposition at the middle, by having an approach from both ends, it will only help us solve the present mystery, why it is that everywhere continuous function is nowhere derivable situation, leading to nowhere derivable situation. This and all other axioms, this and all other limitations, this and all other conditioning, because of the present day axioms, answer is here in Vedic mathematics. For it, we have to comprehend and imbibe the existence of reality of a four space presided by Lord Brahma. And it is with this presiding Lord's meditation that there happens to be transcendence for the transcendental space and step ahead to a self-reference space. We have to achieve it, we have to follow it, and it is only by achieving the following we will be having a requisite transition. Thank you very much.